He did everything right. He paid, he listened, he showed up first and left last. And she left him anyway. Not for someone richer, not for someone smarter. For someone who barely tried. Here's the part nobody tells you: that wasn't bad luck. That was a pattern. And if you recognize it, this video is going to change the way you see yourself forever. There's a type of person most of us have been at some point in our lives. Maybe you're him right now. He never says no. He anticipates what everyone needs before they ask. He gives and gives and gives, and quietly, in a place he never examines too closely, he's keeping score. Not on paper, not consciously. But every favor has a price. Every sacrifice has an expectation attached. And when the bill comes due and nobody pays, he doesn't say anything. He just slowly starts to hate the people he swore he loved. What we're talking about today is one of the most misunderstood psychological traps in human behavior. It hides inside kindness. It disguises itself as generosity. But underneath, it's a covert system of control. And it's costing you everything: your confidence, your relationships, and your sense of self. Let's go deep. Meet Daniel. Daniel has been with his girlfriend, Priya, for 2 years. He books every holiday. He remembers every significant date. He texts good morning without fail. He's thoughtful. He's present. He's consistent. On the surface, he looks like the ideal partner. But here's what's actually happening inside Daniel's head. I do all of this, I give all of this, so she should love me completely. She should never question us. She should never want anyone else. She should be grateful. None of that is said out loud. None of it is even fully conscious. But it's there, a silent contract that only one person signed. This is the core of what psychologists call covert contracting. You're not giving freely. You're investing and expecting a return you never negotiated. So when Priya cancels plans or seems distant or doesn't match his energy, Daniel doesn't think she's having a hard week. He thinks, after everything I've done. And that phrase, after everything I've done, is the most dangerous sentence in any relationship. Because it means your love was never unconditional. It means it was a loan. Now think about your own life for a second. Have you ever done something kind for someone and felt a low, quiet burn when they didn't respond the way you expected? Have you ever gone out of your way for someone and cataloged it, stored it, filed it away, just in case you needed to reference it later? That's not love, that's leverage. Here's the uncomfortable truth. The moment kindness comes with an invisible price tag, it stops being kindness. It becomes a transaction dressed up in generosity. And the people on the receiving end feel it, even if they can't name it. That's why the harder you try, the further people pull away. You're not making them feel loved. You're making them feel indebted, and debt is exhausting to be around. There's a cycle here, and once you see it, you can never unsee it. It works like this. The man who gives too much starts to expect. When expectations aren't met, resentment builds. But he can't express that resentment because that would shatter the image he's constructed. The image of the good man, the selfless one, the one who never complains. So instead it leaks. A cutting remark at dinner, a passive comment disguised as a joke, suddenly going quiet for 3 days, forgetting the things he was asked to do. Small, deniable acts of sabotage directed at the people he resents for not noticing how much he sacrifices. Here's a real example. Marcus had been with his partner for 4 years. He paid the majority of the bills. He picked up the slack on everything: cooking, planning, admin. He told himself it was because he was capable. He told his friends it was just how he was wired. What he didn't tell anyone was that he'd started noticing everything his partner didn't do. Every night his partner didn't initiate affection. Every morning he didn't say thank you. Every weekend that wasn't planned the way Marcus would have planned it. And one evening over something completely insignificant, a misplaced set of keys, 4 years of stored resentment came out at once. Marcus said things he couldn't take back. His partner stood there stunned. because to him this came from nowhere. But to Marcus, it had been building for years. That's what psychologists call an emotional puke, a total loss of control that has almost nothing to do with what triggered it and everything to do with what was never said. And here's the thing nobody asks after moments like that. Who created the conditions for that explosion? Not the partner who didn't say thank you. The person who gave without ever communicating what they needed. The person who mistook silence for strength and stored resentment like ammunition. Kindness you resent giving isn't kindness. It's pressure building slowly, looking for a way out. Now here's the part that breaks people's brains. The solution is not to give more thoughtfully. It's not to communicate your contracts better. It's not to find people who appreciate you more. The solution is to stop centering other people entirely and start putting yourself first. I know that sounds wrong, it sounds selfish, it sounds like the opposite of love. But stay with me. When a man spends all his energy anticipating other people's needs, he is not being generous. He is outsourcing his own self-worth. He is saying, in effect, I cannot feel good about myself unless you respond to me in a specific way. That's not strength, that's dependency dressed up as devotion. And the people around him can feel it, the neediness underneath the giving, the fragility underneath the performance. Nobody is attracted to someone who needs their validation to function. Here's what actually happens when you stop. A man named Jordan had spent 3 years doing everything. A man named Jordan had spent 3 years doing everything for his girlfriend, surprising her constantly, rearranging his schedule around hers, checking in, following up, making sure she was okay. Then, on the advice of a therapist, he stopped, not out of spite. He simply redirected that energy inward. He started training again, something he'd abandoned when the relationship started. He picked up a project he'd shelved. He made plans with friends without checking if she minded. She noticed immediately. Not with anger, with interest. The man who had once orbited around her was suddenly gravitational. He had weight. He had direction. He wasn't waiting to be needed. He simply existed fully on his own terms. 3 weeks in, she told him he felt different. He was, but nothing external had changed. Only his relationship with himself. This is the paradox. The less you perform for others, the more compelling you become to them. Because confidence is not loud. It doesn't announce itself. It simply doesn't need to be anywhere other than where it is. And people are drawn to that like a compass to north. So where does this all come from? Why do otherwise intelligent, capable men fall into this trap? The honest answer is, it was learned early. Somewhere along the way, a young boy figured out that the safest way to be loved was to be useful, to be easy, to not take up too much space or ask for too much, to earn his place rather than simply occupy it. That strategy probably worked once. In childhood, compliance can be survival. But he carried it into adulthood, into friendships, into relationships, into every room he walked into. And what protected him as a child became a cage as a man. Here's the shift that changes everything. You are not responsible for managing other people's emotions. You are not required to earn your place in any room. Your needs are not a burden, they are a fact of being human. And the moment you stop apologizing for having them, the moment you start meeting them directly rather than indirectly through other people, something in your entire presence shifts. You stop being the man people appreciate. You start being the man people respect. Those are not the same thing. Let's bring this back to Daniel, to Marcus, to Jordan. None of them were bad men. None of them were manipulative in any conscious way. They were men who had been told, by culture, by upbringing, by every story they ever consumed, that goodness meant sacrifice. That love meant giving until it hurt. That asking for anything in return made you weak. And they believed it completely. Until the relationships collapsed under the weight of everything unsaid. The invisible trap isn't cruelty, it isn't malice. It's a man who was never taught that he was allowed to matter. If any of this landed, if you recognized yourself somewhere in this video, then here's what I want you to take with you today. The most powerful thing you can do is not give more. It's not try harder. It's to stop performing, stop contracting, stop managing, and start asking, clearly, directly, without apology, for what you actually need. Not because the world owes you. Because you do. If this made you think, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you want to go deeper into the psychology of power, self-respect, and how your mind shapes every relationship you've ever had, subscribe, because the next video goes even further. I'll see you there.